The metal doors of the great hall slid open with a soft hiss. Ambassador Karen Mills walked into the room with steady steps. Her blue uniform looked simple next to the colorful aliens sitting around the curved table. This was the first time any human had entered this place. The Galactic Council met here once every 10 years. Races from across the galaxy came to Nexus Prime, a huge space station floating between the stars. Today was special. Today, humanity would join them. Karen looked around the room. The Zephyrians sat on the left side. Their bodies were made of living crystal that caught the light and threw rainbows on the walls. Next to them, the Thalassans floated in tanks of green water. Their tentacles moved slowly as they watched her. On the right, beings of pure light flickered and pulsed. These were the Luminari, creatures made of energy. "Welcome, human," said the council leader. His voice came from a translation device. "Please take your seat." Karen sat down at the empty chair marked for Earth. Behind her, Commander Jack Turner stood at attention. His hand rested near his weapon, but his face stayed calm. 2 more guards flanked the door. "Thank you for this honor," Karen said. She placed a small device on the table. It projected a blue image of Earth into the air. "Humanity is ready to join the galactic community," the crystal being leaned forward. "Tell us about your people. What makes humans worthy of this council?" Karen smiled. "We have a rich history. Our stories go back thousands of years. We have tales of great heroes and powerful creatures. Dragons that breathe fire, warriors who cannot die, gods who control lightning and storms." A strange sound filled the room. It took Karen a moment to realize the aliens were laughing. "Dragons?" The Thalassan's tentacles shook with amusement. "Fire-breathing lizards, how amusing." "These are children's stories," added a Zephyrian. The crystal patterns on its skin flashed in what might have been humor. "We expected to hear of your technology or science. Instead, you bring us fairy tales." Karen's smile faded. "These stories shaped our culture. They taught us about courage and honor." "Courage?" The lead Thalassan bubbled in its tank. "Your ships are small. Your weapons are weak. What could humans possibly teach us about courage?" Jack Turner's jaw tightened. He had seen enough combat to know when someone was testing for weakness. The aliens weren't just making jokes. They were measuring humanity's response. "Our military forces are more capable than they appear," Karen said carefully. "Are they?" The Luminary representative flickered brighter. "Our sensors have scanned your home system. 12 patrol ships, 3 defense platforms, a handful of fighters, hardly impressive." The Zephyrian made a clicking sound. "The Thalassan Empire has thousands of warships. We ourselves command a fleet of crystal dreadnoughts. Your entire navy could not stand against a single one of our battle groups." Karen felt heat rise in her cheeks, but she kept her voice level. "Humanity seeks peaceful trade and cultural exchange. We don't need a massive military." "Don't need?" The Thalassan's translator gurgled. "Or cannot afford? Your technology is quaint. Your faster-than-light drives are 100 years behind ours. Your shields can barely stop space debris." "Perhaps," said the lead Zephyrian. "Humanity is not ready for council membership. You still believe in myths and legends. You lack proper military strength. What could you offer us?" The room fell silent. Karen felt the weight of Earth's hopes on her shoulders. She had trained for this moment for years, but nothing had prepared her for such open contempt. Before she could respond, her communicator buzzed. She glanced at the message from Earth. Her eyes widened. "Ambassador?" Jack Turner stepped closer. "Is everything all right?" "There's been an incident," Karen said slowly. "Near Jupiter. Unknown ships have entered our system." The aliens exchanged looks. "Unknown ships?" asked the Luminari. "Not one of our species?" "No." Karen stood up. "I apologize, but I need to contact Earth Command immediately." "Of course," said the council leader. But Karen caught the knowing looks between the alien delegates. They thought humanity was panicking over nothing, just another primitive species overwhelmed by first contact. Outside the Great Hall, Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez waited with urgent news. Ambassador, 3 ships appeared near Jupiter Station 20 minutes ago. They're not responding to our signals. Are they hostile? Jack asked. Unknown, sir. But they're scanning everything. Our colonies, our defenses, our trade routes. It's like they're mapping our entire system. Karen frowned. Any idea where they came from? Negative. They just appeared. No jump signature, no energy trail. Our scientists are going crazy trying to figure it out. Jack's hand moved to his weapon. Could be scouts, testing our response time. For what? Karen asked. But she already suspected the answer. The council meeting had felt wrong from the start. The aliens weren't just arrogant, they were confident. Too confident. Back on Earth, Captain Steve Harrison stood on the bridge of the USS Titan. The patrol ship was humanity's newest vessel, but compared to what he saw on his screens, it might as well have been made of tin foil. Sir, the unknown, ships are moving toward Mars, reported his sensor officer. Any response to our communications? Nothing, Captain. They're ignoring us completely. Steve studied the tactical display. The alien ships were huge, each one 10 times the size of the Titan. Their hulls seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Alert Mars colony. Tell them to prepare for possible evacuation. Captain. The sensor officer's voice pitched higher. I'm detecting more ships, dozens of them. They're appearing all along the outer system. Steve felt a cold weight in his stomach. This wasn't first contact. This was an invasion. On Nexus Prime, Karen received the emergency transmission from Earth. Her face went pale as she read the report. When she looked up, the alien delegates were watching her with what might have been satisfaction. Problems, Ambassador? Asked the Thalassan. You knew, Karen said quietly. You knew this was coming. The Zephyrian's crystal skin darkened. Knew what? That humanity would face its first real test? Every species must prove its worth. By letting us be invaded? By seeing if you survive, corrected the Luminary. The galaxy is not kind to the weak. If your myths and legends are all you have, then perhaps it's better to learn this lesson early. Jack Turner moved closer to Karen. Ambassador, we should return to Earth immediately. Karen nodded. But as she turned to leave, the Thalassan spoke again. When you fail, and you will fail, remember that we offered you truth. Your dragons and heroes are just stories. In the real galaxy, only strength matters. The human delegation left the Great Hall in tense silence. Behind them, alien laughter echoed off the metal walls. The galaxy had judged humanity and found it wanting. But 20 light-years away, in a forgotten corner of space, something stirred. Ancient systems, dormant for centuries, detected the threat to Earth. Deep in asteroid fields and hidden nebulae, metal giants began to wake. Humanity's myths were about to become very real. The aliens had made one crucial mistake. They assumed they knew everything about humans. They had scanned the obvious ships, the visible defenses. But they hadn't looked deeper. They hadn't searched for the secrets humanity had forgotten. The dragons were coming home. The small research ship moved through the asteroid field with careful precision. Professor Lisa Chen stood at the main console, her eyes fixed on the strange readings coming from her scanner. She had been searching for months, following clues, hidden in Earth's oldest star maps. There, she whispered, right where the ancient text said it would be. Her assistant, Peter Walsh, leaned over her shoulder. What is it, Professor? A gravitational anomaly. Something big is hidden in this asteroid field. Lisa's fingers danced across the controls. Something that's been here for a very long time. The ship's sensors painted a picture on the main screen. Behind the largest asteroid, space itself seemed to bend and twist. Lisa had seen this before in old Earth documents that most scientists dismissed as mythology. Send a message to Admiral Davis, she ordered. Tell him we found it. On Earth, Admiral Frank Davis read the report 3 times. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. The current crisis with the unknown alien ships weighed heavily on him. But this news from Professor Chen changed everything. Are you certain? He asked over the secure channel. Lisa's voice crackled through the speaker. Absolutely, Admiral. The star maps were right. There's something here, something human. Frank made his decision. I'm sending Commander Sullivan with a full recon team. Whatever you found, we need to know about it fast. Commander Mike Sullivan arrived at the asteroid field 12 hours later. His team included the best specialists Earth could spare. As their ship approached the anomaly, everyone fell silent. Jesus, whispered the pilot. Look at the size of them. Hidden behind the asteroids, wrapped in some kind of energy field, were ships. Human ships. But these weren't like anything in Earth's current fleet. They were massive, with hulls that seemed to be made of unknown metals. Strange symbols covered their surfaces. How old are these things? Mike asked. The science officer checked his readings twice. At least 800 years. Maybe more. But that's impossible. Humans didn't have space travel back then. Apparently we did, Mike said softly. And then we forgot. They docked with the largest ship. The airlock still worked, cycling with a hiss of ancient machinery. Inside, the corridors were dark but intact. Everything was preserved perfectly in the vacuum of space. Commander, look at this. The tech specialist pointed to a panel on the wall. The writing was in old Earth languages, but the meaning was clear. This ship is called Ragnarok, the end of the world. Mike felt a chill run down his spine. Or maybe the end of someone else's world. Keep moving. They found the bridge after 20 minutes of careful exploration. The moment Mike stepped inside, lights began to flicker on. Consoles hummed to life. A voice spoke in ancient English. DNA scan complete. Welcome, Commander. Command protocols activated. It knows me? Mike stared at the main screen as data began to flow. How is that possible? The ship's AI responded. All humans carry the genetic markers. You are descendants of the builders. Access granted to historical database. What they saw next changed everything. Images filled the screens. Humans in advanced armor fighting massive alien creatures. Fleets of ships like this one burning across the stars. Worlds being saved. Empires falling. We weren't always peaceful explorers, Mike said quietly. We were warriors, protectors. Dr. Paul Johnson, the team's historian, was recording everything. This is incredible. According to these records, humanity once controlled a third of the galaxy. We fought something called the Devourers, saved dozens of species from extinction. Then why don't we remember? Asked the pilot. Paul studied the data streams. There was a great sacrifice. Humanity gave up its empire to seal away the enemy. We scattered across space, hid our technology, and forgot. On purpose. Mike touched the command console. More ships appeared on the scanners. Dozens of them, all hidden in asteroid fields and nebulae across human space. We left these as insurance, in case we needed them again. Sir, the communications officer interrupted. Priority message from Earth. The alien ships are moving toward our colonies. Admiral Davis wants to know if these old ships can fly. Mike looked around the ancient bridge. Despite its age, everything seemed functional. The AI waited patiently for orders. Tell the Admiral we're about to find out. Engineer Katie Brown arrived on the Ragnarok 6 hours later. She was young, but brilliant, known for making machines work when others gave up. She studied the engine room with growing excitement. This is amazing, she said. The power core uses principles we're only now beginning to understand. If I can get this running. Can you? Mike asked. Katie grinned. Give me 3 hours. She was as good as her word. The ancient engines roared to life with a sound like thunder. Power flowed through systems that had slept for centuries. On the bridge, tactical displays showed weapons beyond anything Earth currently possessed. Commander? The AI spoke again. Full systems online. This vessel carries the designation, Battle Carrier Ragnarok. Primary weapons include plasma projection arrays, quantum torpedoes, and fighter drones. Shall I wake the fleet? The fleet? Mike's voice caught. Confirmed. 12 capital ships responding to activation signal. The Fenrir, Hydra, Cerberus, and others. All await your command. On Earth, Admiral Davis watched the sensor readings with disbelief. Ancient warships were coming online across human space. Ships with names from mythology, carrying weapons that defied current understanding. My God, he breathed. We really were the monsters in those old stories. Ambassador Karen Mills had just returned from Nexus Prime. She looked at the tactical display with new understanding. Not monsters, Admiral, guardians. We protected the galaxy once. Maybe it's time we remembered how. The unknown alien ships had reached Mars. They ignored all communication attempts, their scanning beams probing human defenses. But they hadn't detected the awakening giants hidden in the dark. Captain Steve Harrison aboard the USS Titan watched his sensors with growing hope. Admiral, I'm reading massive energy signatures throughout the system. Are those our ancestors' gifts? Davis replied. Seems our myths had teeth after all. In deep space, the reconnaissance team found one last secret, a data core containing the complete history of the first human empire. The records showed humanity as both warrior and protector, fighting impossible odds to save younger races. Look at this, Paul said, highlighting a section. The same species now on the Galactic Council, the Zephyrians, Thalassans, even the Luminari. We saved them all, and they forgot. Mike studied the records of ancient battles. Maybe they forgot, on purpose. It's easier to mock humans as primitive than remember we once made them kneel. Commander, Katie called from engineering. I found something else. These ships have AI cores that learn and adapt. They've been updating themselves, improving their systems while they slept. Preparing for what? For when we'd need them again. Katie's voice was quiet. The builders knew this day would come. As the Ragnarok's engines powered up fully, more hidden ships responded. The Dragon was waking. The Phoenix was rising. Humanity's forgotten might stirred in the darkness between stars. Set a course for Earth, Mike ordered. It's time to remind the galaxy why they once called us gods. The ancient fleet began to move. Silent as death, powerful as legends, they turned toward home. The aliens thought they faced a weak, myth-believing race. They were about to learn those myths were history, and history was about to repeat itself. The first attack came at dawn. A mining outpost on Kepler 452b, humanity's furthest colony, sent out a desperate signal before going dark. Captain Rita Garcia received the distress call aboard her patrol ship, the Horizon. All hands to battle stations, she ordered. Her small ship wasn't built for combat, but 3,000 humans lived on that colony. She pushed the engines to their limit. When they dropped out of hyperspace, the sight made her blood run cold. Massive ships surrounded the colony. Their hulls gleamed like oil on water, shifting and changing. Beams of energy struck the surface, leaving deep craters. Captain, those aren't the unknown ships from Jupiter, her tactical officer reported. These are Thalassan Empire vessels. Rita's jaw tightened. Open communications, all frequencies. Thalassan Fleet, this is Captain Garcia of Earthship Horizon. Cease fire immediately. You are attacking human civilians. The response came in bubbling translator speech. Humans have no right to this system. The Galactic Council has voted. Earth's expansion ends now. What vote? Rita demanded. Ambassador Mills is still at Nexus Prime. There's been no formal. The transmission cut off. Energy weapons charged on the Thalassan ships. Rita made a decision that would haunt her. Emergency jump. Now. The Horizon fled as the colony burned. 3,000 voices went silent. Rita's hands shook as she set course for Earth. The war had begun, and humanity was already losing. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Karen Mills faced the Council with fury in her eyes. You gave them our colony locations, our defense codes. This isn't first contact, it's a setup. The Zephyrian delegates' crystal form pulsed with satisfaction. The Council has decided humanity needs guidance. Your species is too primitive, too violent. Better to bring you under proper control now. Control? Karen stepped forward. You mean slavery? Such dramatic words. The luminary flickered. We prefer to call it managed integration. The Thalassan Empire will oversee your development. In a few centuries, you might earn limited freedom. Jack Turner moved to Karen's side. His hand rested on his weapon. Ambassador, we need to leave. Now. Through the windows of Nexus Prime, Karen could see Zephyrian warships gathering. crystal dreadnoughts, each one a kilometer long. Their weapons turned slowly toward Earth's direction. "You're making a mistake," Karen said quietly. "Humanity won't kneel." The Thalassan gurgled with laughter. "With what army? Your 12 patrol ships? Your shields made of hope and prayer? Accept reality, human. Your myths won't save you." As they left the council chamber, Karen's communicator buzzed with encrypted messages. The Thalassans had hit 3 more colonies. Zephyrian fleets massed at the border. Even some luminary energy ships joined the gathering storm. "They planned this for months," Jack said. "Maybe years." "But why?" Karen asked. "We offered peace, trade, friendship." "Maybe that's why," Jack replied grimly. "They've seen something in humanity that scares them." Lieutenant Colonel Tim Edwards commanded the defense of New Texas, humanity's largest colony world. 20 million people lived there. Tim had 300 soldiers and outdated weapons. Against him came 50 Thalassan battleships. "Sir, they're demanding our surrender," his communication officer reported. Tim watched the enemy fleet on his screens. His soldiers were farmers and miners who volunteered to defend their homes. They didn't stand a chance, but they stood anyway. "Tell them to go to hell." The battle was short and brutal. Human railguns barely scratched the alien shields. Return fire turned defense stations to molten metal, but Tim's people fought for every inch of ground. In the middle of the battle, something unexpected happened. Tim's sensors detected new signatures, ships dropping out of hyperspace. For a moment he hoped for reinforcements. Then he saw what they were: creatures of living shadow, things that ate light itself. Ships that weren't built but grown, pulsing with malevolent life. They ignored the battle and turned toward the planet's surface. "Sweet Jesus," Tim whispered. "What are those things?" The Thalassan fleet stopped firing. Their commander's voice came over all channels, thick with fear. "Devourers! The Devourers have returned!" Tim watched in horror as the shadow ships descended. Where they passed, matter itself seemed to dissolve. The Thalassan fleet tried to retreat, but the creatures moved faster than thought. On Nexus Prime, alarms screamed through the station. Council members who moments ago mocked humanity now panicked like children. The Luminary Elder spoke for the first time in decades, its energy form flickering wildly. "We were fools," it said. "The humans didn't create myths. They left warnings. The Devourers were real, and we woke them by attacking humanity's children." Karen turned to face the Elder. "What are you talking about?" "Long ago, humans fought the great enemy. Creatures from another dimension that consumed entire civilizations. Humanity was the only race strong enough to stop them. They sealed the rifts, hid their weapons, and made themselves forget. To protect us all. And now?" Karen asked, though she already knew. "Our attacks weakened the seals. The Devourers sense war, conflict, death. They feed on it. They've returned to finish what they started." The council chamber erupted in chaos. Species that hours ago demanded humanity's submission now begged for protection, but their own fleets were scattered, attacking human colonies. "Please," the Zephyrian delegate pleaded. "You must have some defenses, some ancient weapons." Karen looked at Jack. A smile played at the corner of her mouth. "Actually, we might, but you're not going to like where they came from." At Earth Command, Admiral Davis received reports from across human space. Colonies under attack, alien fleets massing, and now something worse. The Devourers had returned, just as the ancient records warned. "Admiral," his aide reported, "Commander Sullivan signals the ancient fleet is ready. 12 dreadnoughts fully operational. He's requesting permission to engage." Davis looked at the tactical display. Red markers showed enemy positions, but now black markers appeared too. The Devourers spreading like a plague. "Tell Sullivan he has command of the Heritage Fleet. Priority 1, protect human civilians. Priority 2, stop the Devourers." "And the Thalassans? The Zephyrians?" Davis was quiet for a moment. "They made their choice. But if they ask for help, we're still human. We'll save who we can." Far from Earth, the ancient warships emerged from hyperspace. Commander Mike Sullivan sat in Ragnarok's command chair, feeling the power of the ship. Around him, the AI showed him tactical data beyond anything he'd imagined. Detecting multiple threats, the AI reported. Thalasan and Zephyrian fleets engaged with human colonies. Devourer bioships spreading from 3 breach points. Can we stop them all? Negative. But we can make them choose between conquest and survival. Mike nodded. Show them what our ancestors built. All weapons free. Across human space, the tide began to turn, not because of superior numbers or technology, but because humanity remembered what it was. Myths became weapons. Legends took shape in metal and fire. Captain Rita Garcia watched from her damaged ship as the dragon-shaped dreadnought Fafnir tore through a Thalasan fleet. Its plasma breath melted shields like morning mist. The Hydra-class ship beside it grew new weapon pods even as enemy fire destroyed others. My God, her pilot whispered. We really were monsters. No, Rita corrected. We were exactly what the galaxy needed, and it looks like we still are. The message went out to all alien fleets. Withdraw from human space or face humanity's forgotten wrath. Some listened. Others learned the hard way that human myths had very real teeth. But the true enemy was still coming. The devourers spread like cosmic cancer, consuming worlds and fleets alike. Only humanity's ancient weapons seemed to hurt them. The galaxy was about to learn why humans had hidden their past. Not from shame, but from mercy. The monsters in human. Myths weren't the dragons or demons. The monsters were the things humanity was built to fight. The Sol system had never seen such a gathering of ships. 3 Thalasan battle groups, 2 Zephyrian crystal dreadnought wings, and dozens of smaller vessels. They came to crush Earth once and for all. Their commanders were confident. Earth's defenses were weak. Victory was certain. Then space itself seemed to tear open. The Ragnarok emerged first, dropping out of hyperspace with a sound like thunder. The ancient battle carrier was 5 kilometers long, its hull dark as night. Strange symbols glowed along its surface. Behind it came the rest of humanity's forgotten fleet. Commander Mike Sullivan sat in the command chair, watching enemy reactions on his screens. The alien ships hesitated, confused by these unknown vessels. Sir, incoming transmission from the lead Thalasan ship, reported his communications officer. The screen filled with the image of a Thalasan commander in its liquid-filled tank. Unknown vessels, identify yourselves. This system is under Galactic Council authority. Mike smiled coldly. This is Commander Sullivan of the Earth Heritage Fleet. You are trespassing in human space. You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal. The Thalasan's tentacles writhed in what might have been laughter. Heritage Fleet? More human myths? Your primitive ships cannot. Mike cut the transmission. All ships' combat formation, show them what myths can do. The Ragnarok's weapon systems came alive. Panels opened along its hull, revealing weapons that defied current understanding. Plasma dragons, quantum spears, gravity hammers. Names from legend given form in terrible technology. Captain Dan Cooper commanded the Valkyrie, a ship whose very design seemed impossible. Its wings spread like a great bird, each feather a weapon system. Dan had been a cargo pilot 3 days ago. Now he controlled power that could crack moons. Target locked on the lead Zephyrian dreadnought, his tactical officer reported. Fire, Dan ordered. The Valkyrie's main gun spoke. A beam of condensed starlight struck the crystal dreadnought. The mile-long alien ship's shields flashed and died. Secondary explosions rippled through its structure. In 15 seconds, the pride of the Zephyrian fleet became glittering fragments. Impossible, breathed the tactical officer. Their shields are rated for direct nuclear impact. Dan watched the debris spread. Our ancestors didn't build these ships to be fair. Commander Julie Adams led Phoenix Wing, a squadron of fighters that shouldn't exist. Each fighter could phase in and out of normal space, appearing behind enemy shields. Their weapons fired bolts of contained plasma that burned through any armor. Phoenix leader to all wings, Julie called over the comm. Remember your training. These ships fly on thought as much as thrust. Trust your instincts. Her fighter dove toward a cluster of Thalassan destroyers. Their point defense weapons fired, desperately, but her ship flickered between dimensions. She appeared inside their formation, weapons charging. "For Earth," she whispered, and pulled the trigger. Ancient human weapons tore through modern alien shields like paper. The Fenrir released swarms of attack drones that moved like hunting wolves. The Hydra's damaged sections regenerated even as enemy fire struck. The Cerberus split into 3 independent attack vessels, each one deadly. On the Thalassan flagship, panic replaced arrogance. The commander watched a third of its fleet burn in minutes. These weren't the weak humans they'd been told about. These were the warriors from old stories, the ones parents used to frighten children. "All ships emergency retreat," the Thalassan ordered. "We cannot stand against." Space rippled again. New contacts appeared on every sensor. Not human ships, this time. The Devourers had found the battle. Their bioships were nightmares given form. Black tentacles reached across space. Where they touched, matter dissolved into nothing. A Zephyrian cruiser tried to flee. Shadow engulfed it. When the darkness passed, only empty space remained. "New targets," Mike commanded from the Ragnarok. "All ships engage the Devourers. The aliens are secondary now." The human fleet turned its ancient weapons on the true enemy. Plasma dragons' breath met shadow tentacles. Quantum torpedoes detonated in patterns that hurt to watch. For the first time, the Devourers' advance slowed, but more kept coming. Rifts opened across the system. Bioships poured through like blood from wounds. They moved toward Earth with hungry purpose. Admiral Davis watched from Earth Command. The tactical display showed the impossible, humanity's mythical weapons holding against cosmic horror. But they were outnumbered. For every Devourer destroyed, 2 more appeared. "Admiral, the Galactic Council is requesting communication." And Aid reported. The screen showed the council chamber on Nexus Prime. Alien delegates who had mocked humanity now huddled in fear. The Zephyrian spoke first. "Humans, we apologize, we were wrong. The old stories were true. Please, you must stop them." "Must?" Davis raised an eyebrow. "Hours ago you demanded our surrender. Your fleets attacked our colonies. Why should we save you?" The luminary elder flickered forward. "Because that is what humans do. What you've always done. You are the shield against the dark. Even when we forgot, even when we betrayed you, you remained guardians." Davis was quiet for a long moment. On the tactical display, human ships burned and died holding the line. But they held. "Send your fleets to these coordinates," he said finally. "Follow our commands exactly, and pray our ancestors built enough weapons." Across the galaxy, alien fleets received the call. Species that had attacked humanity now raced to join its defense. They came not as conquerors, but as students, remembering lessons learned long ago. The Ragnarok shuddered under Devourer assault. Mike Sullivan felt the great ship's pain through the neural link, but he also felt its rage. This ship had fought these creatures before, it remembered. "Commander, systems are learning," the AI reported, "adapting weapons to match enemy changes, uploading new patterns to all ships." "Do it," Mike ordered. He opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, download new firing solutions. Our ancestors left us more than weapons. They left us knowledge." The tide began to turn. Human weapons evolved in real time, countering each Devourer adaptation. Alien ships, following human command, added their firepower to the defense. Slowly, painfully, the shadows were pushed back. On the Valkyrie, Dan Cooper watched a massive bioship dissolve under concentrated fire. His crew cheered, but Dan saw the truth on his sensors. This was just the vanguard. The real Devourer fleet still waited beyond the rifts. "Admiral Davis, to all ships," came the transmission. "Well done, but this is just the beginning. The Devourers will return with their full strength. We have perhaps days to prepare." "What are your orders, Admiral?" Mike asked from the Ragnarok. Davis looked at the alien delegates, then at Earth shining in the distance. "We do what humans have always done. We stand between the darkness and those who cannot defend themselves, and we remember who we really are. The first battle was won, but everyone knew it was just the opening move. The Devourers would return. The galaxy would need humanity's myths made real. The ancient warships turned toward Earth, carrying hope forged in forgotten fire. The war room on Earth buzzed with activity. General Tony Baker stood before a massive holographic display showing the galaxy. Red marks indicated Devourer rifts. Blue showed human and allied positions. There was too much red. The enemy's main force will arrive in 18 hours, Tony announced to the gathered commanders. Our scouts report over 10,000 bioships massing beyond the rifts. A Zephyrian admiral, its crystal form dim with fear, spoke up. 10,000? We barely survived 100. How can we possibly? We fight, Tony cut him off. That's how. And we use everything our ancestors left us. Mike Sullivan stepped forward from the shadows. 3 days of constant battle had aged him, but his eyes burned with purpose. The Heritage Fleet is down to 8 operational dreadnoughts, but we found something else. The display changed. It showed 12 massive structures floating in deep space. Each one was shaped like a mountain covered in weapon platforms. The Olympian defense stations, Mike continued, hidden at the edge of our system, fully automated, waiting for the final battle. Ambassador Karen Mills studied the data. Olympian, like the Greek gods? Not like them, Mike corrected. These stations are named after them. Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, each one has specialized weapons. The Zeus platform alone could crack a moon. The Luminari elder floated closer to the display. Your ancestors truly prepared for everything. They knew this day would come, Tony said. Now we need to position our forces. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. This is the battle that decides everything. In space dock above Earth, engineers worked frantically on damaged ships. Captain Jennifer Ross commanded the repair efforts. Her own ship, the Thunderchild, had lost half its hull in the first battle. But it would fly again. Captain, we're getting strange readings from the ship's core, a technician reported. Jennifer moved to the console. The ancient AI was doing something unexpected. Code streamed across screens, not repairs but upgrades. The ship was evolving. Let it work, she decided. These ships know war better than we do. Across human space, similar scenes played out. The heritage ships adapted, learned, grew stronger. They remembered battles from centuries past and prepared for the fight ahead. Young pilot Sam Martinez sat in his fighter, running pre-flight checks. He was 22, had been flying cargo shuttles a week ago. Now he commanded a squadron of Phoenix-class fighters. You scared? Asked his wingman, Alex Park. Terrified, Sam admitted. But my grandmother used to tell stories about humans who stood against monsters. Never thought I'd be one of them. Maybe that's the point, Alex said. Maybe we all have that inside us. We just forgot. The first Devourer scouts appeared at the edge of the system. Admiral Davis watched from Earth Command as the Olympian stations powered up. Ancient weapons hummed to life. The Zeus platform's main gun began to glow. Sir, the Ragnarok is requesting permission to lead the first strike, communications reported. Davis nodded. All ships, follow Commander Sullivan's lead. Show them why. Humanity survived when others fell. The Heritage Fleet moved forward. Behind them came alien ships, former enemies now fighting as allies. The Thalassans had modified their vessels with human tech. The Zephyrians had restructured their crystals to match human shield frequencies. Enemy main force emerging from rifts, Tactical reported. Space itself seemed to scream as thousands of bioships poured into normal space. They were massive things, some larger than cities. Tentacles of living shadow reached toward the defensive. Line, all stations, fire, Davis commanded. The Olympian platform spoke as one. Beams of impossible energy struck the Devourer fleet. The Zeus station's main gun carved through a dozen bioships. Poseidon's weapon created gravity wells that crushed enemies into nothing. But still they came. Mike Sullivan felt the Ragnarok's eagerness for battle. The ship's AI whispered strategies, showed him patterns in the enemy's movement. He began to understand why humans had been the galaxy's guardians. All ships, implement Ragnarok Protocol, he ordered. Across the fleet, ancient systems activated. The heritage ships revealed their final secrets. The Ragnarok transformed, its hull splitting open to reveal a weapon that hurt to look at. Other ships underwent similar changes. "My God," breathed the Thalassian commander. "You were holding back?" "We always hold back," Mike replied. "Until we can't anymore." The real battle began. Human ships unleashed weapons that defied physics. Dragons of plasma hundreds of kilometers long struck bioships. Quantum missiles phased through shadow defenses. Gravity hammers crushed enemy formations. Dr. Christine Lee worked frantically at her station on Earth. She was decoding the last files from the Heritage Fleet's archives. What she found made her gasp. "Admiral, I've found it. The source of the Devourers. They're not from another dimension, they're from another time. A possible future where all life was consumed. They're trying to make that future happen. How do we stop them? The same way our ancestors did. We seal the rifts. But it requires..." She paused. "It requires a sacrifice." Davis understood. "The fleet? One ship must enter each rift and detonate its core. 12 rifts, 12 ships. They won't come back." The admiral closed his eyes. Then he opened a channel to the fleet. "All commanders, we have a solution, but we need volunteers." The response was immediate. Every heritage ship volunteered. Every human captain stepped forward. Even some alien commanders offered their vessels. "I'll take the main rift," Mike Sullivan said quietly. "The Ragnarok was built for this." One by one, 12 ships were chosen. They turned toward the rifts, weapons, blazing paths through the enemy. The rest of the fleet provided cover, holding back the devourer masses. Captain Dan Cooper guided the Valkyrie toward its assigned rift. His crew stood with him, no one abandoning ship. "It's been an honor," he told them. "The honor was ours, Captain," his tactical officer replied. The 12 ships reached their targets. Mike Sullivan looked back at Earth one last time. For humanity, for the galaxy, for the future. They entered the rifts. The explosions that followed burned across dimensions. Rifts collapsed, taking thousands of devourers with them. The remaining bioships, cut off from reinforcement, were overwhelmed by the Allied fleet. When the last enemy fell, silence filled space. The threat was ended. The galaxy was saved. But the cost had been high. Earth became the center of a new galactic order, not through conquest but through sacrifice. The alien species, humbled by humanity's courage, offered Earth leadership of a reformed council. Ambassador Karen Mills stood in the new council chamber. Representatives from 100 worlds waited for her words. "We don't seek to rule," she said. "We seek to protect, to stand guard. That is humanity's purpose. We are the shield against the dark." The luminary elder stepped forward. "Then let the galaxy remember. Let the stories be told. Of the humans who were monsters to save us all." In the years that followed, young beings across the galaxy learned the tales. Of dragon ships and phoenix fighters. Of humans who gave everything to save species that had betrayed them. And in the space docks above Earth, new ships were built. Ships with names from myth and legend. Because humanity remembered now. Remembered what they were. Guardians. Protectors. The monsters that kept worse. Monsters at bay. The galaxy was safe, for now.